Good morning.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Can you hear me all right?
Can you talk again, Brad?
Can you hear me all right?
Yes. I only know that only John has said he was going to be able to make it this morning. We're still a couple minutes early here. Morning, Annette.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning, Melanie, Dustin.
Good morning. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah.
Good.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're missing Heather. John is not going to make it. Here's Heather. Well, let's read AI.
There's Heather.
Good morning, Heather.
Nate, you got some birds out the window?
Yeah. Yep. Can you hear them? They're that loud?
Yeah.
I will mute until I'm needed to speak. If you don't want to hear that happiness, Zach, I'll
No,
mute
I
it.
think it's beautiful. Spring is here. It's wonderful.
Not shockingly, I hate birds.
I come from a bird family. We all love birds. So
Until they fly in your face in a house, then you're done.
I didn't know there was such thing as a bird family. I've never heard that before.
bird
You guys all have
watchers.
like binoculars,
Yes.
bird watchers. Uh,
Okay. We are all here. So Brad, you're welcome to start the meeting when you're ready.
All right. I thought I'd give a couple minutes for Gene to join, but we've got quorum.
Oh, yeah, I
thanks.
forgot Gene. I forgot Gene, yeah. I
And
was counting Zach as the eighth.
whoops. No, it's 9:03, so let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. Welcome everyone to the April meeting of the Muncie Land Bank Board of Directors. Everyone but Gene Drum and Dr. West appear to be in attendance. We will begin with our consent agenda that contains last meeting minutes and last month's financials. Assuming everyone had a chance to review them, I would entertain a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, roll call vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Rebecca,
Aye.
Annette,
Aye.
Dustin,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Heather, Melanie,
Aye.
and I. Motion passes. Moving on to the next item on our agenda, which are voting items. Zach, do you want to carry us through the voting items?
Sure, yeah. If you recall, we had talked about acquiring 601 South Council a few months ago from Erica Carter, and she wants 13 grand, which I think the board decided was too much. Intend has realized, I guess, that they're a few lots short of the number of lots they need for the new builds. And part of that reason is because 601 South Council is centrally located between on the sides are smaller lots, and with 601, multiple become buildable that otherwise aren't. So the proposal that Intend has recently had approved and is asking us if we are okay with is where we would acquire the property from Erica Carter now for 13 grand. Once they exercise the remaining option, they're going to pay us $5,000 for the lot. And then once they sell the property, they'd pay us the remaining $8,000 for the lot. So we would be made whole. But up front, it would only be 5,000, like the other properties, other vacant lots that we're selling to them.
Thanks, Zach. Does anyone have any questions for Zach or Nate?
Does
Comments?
that include like maintenance during the time that you're holding the property for them?
Yeah, well, that wouldn't, so that would just be the purchase price, but we are actively working on our maintenance agreement with them for properties, which is how, like, the 75 grand that was allocated for reimbursing us for maintenance expenses is going to cover that.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? I'd also like to welcome Gene to the meeting. Gene, we're just down on voting items, the first voting item for 601 South Council.
Thank you and apologies.
No worries, and you're welcome. Unless there's any further questions or comments, concerns, I would entertain a motion to approve the purchase.
I'd make a motion to approve the purchase as described in 2 payments to eventually be made whole.
I second.
Motion and a second. Are there any further comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, roll call vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Rebecca,
Aye.
Annette,
Aye.
Dustin,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Heather,
Aye.
Melanie,
Aye.
and Gene.
Aye.
And I makes it unanimous. Heather, I did hear that. It did come in a little choppy, just FYI. Yeah, the unanimous. Go ahead and make the work and contact Intend as well.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to move us on to voting on item, I think it's B?
Yeah, I'll let Nate take this one.
Thank you.
Excuse me. So this kind of comes from looking at our office space and realizing that we're getting it's going to be it's already pretty tight with Ruby and Zyle, who, in addition to Zach and I, in our office space, we actually have one other desk space. Ruby and Xander have not spent a lot of time at the office, so we've been able to manage. But we have the potential to have an additional 4 interns over the summer into the fall. And so we thought it was time to at least evaluate possibilities for a new office location. Easiest for me was just to talk to Carly Cree King, who's the executive director at Mad Jack's, and there's an office space just a couple doors down. It's much bigger. It has actual sunlight, and it's actually being rented right now by, I think, somebody who does construction. Maybe Carly said that they're there once a month, maybe. But their lease ends in October. Normally that's quite a bit more expensive what they ask for. She said that she could come down to 700, possibly more. They don't want us to leave. We've been there for years. And I would just say for us, we use that space in so many ways, the public space. We use the learning lab downstairs for special meetings. We use the co-lab. It's been a really great space for the land bank. So I would push against thinking about leaving anytime soon unless there was, some major economic reason. So yeah, it would be something that potentially, she said that she would reach out to the current tenant of the other space and ask if we could switch out while they finish out their lease, just because they're never there and they've really done nothing. They just have like one little desk in there. So it would be almost $300 extra a month for us, which we don't love, but we need the space. We're going to have an architecture intern joining us this summer. We're going to have an urban planning intern this summer. We're going to potentially have a Vista AmeriCorps person early in the fall. And then there's also another internship possibility through a new program at Ball State, the humanities program. So it'd be nice to have some extra space and, take ownership of it. I really have not done that in our little office. We have all these maps, all these things that we can display. So I think it's probably time, even though we've been able to make do with the space that we've had.
How many square feet are you in now, and how many square feet are you thinking is more appropriate?
Zach, do you have any idea? It's probably 20
wall to wall, like 250 square feet, maybe. I don't know.
And then the other space is probably at least 3 times that. I could actually get that exact bit, Dustin. We could find that out.
What's the access like to the other space? Do you go through like the common room like you do now, or?
Yes, it's just
okay.
When you're looking at our office, it's next door is Amber and I think it's Michaela, and then the next office over is that space. There's 2 entrances, one from the bathroom side and one from the open to the Firefly side.
So how many total square feet? I guess I missed. How many are you hoping to get to? What will be the good number of square footage for the next 4 or 5 years?
Well, I feel like those are good questions, Dustin. And I haven't looked at it from that perspective. It's definitely big enough for us to grow into. I would say it's about 3 times the space we have right now. But I wouldn't feel like we would need to be thinking about a move anytime soon. Even if we had, even if we grew a fair bit. But and I think we're going to have an influx here, and then probably, we're going to have roughly 6 people coming in and out of the office working, and then probably move back down to 3 or 4 for a while. It's also nice to have a space where we can host people. We do have a lot of people that come up to our office, and we just kind of pull out a chair and they sit between us. It's a little awkward. But I'm happy to try to collect more information if we'd like to table it and come back to it.
How long did they say you could do the 700?
So I think we could, that would be if we signed what we have now. I think we're in a 5-year lease right now. And so we got the discount rate, and so we would do the same.
I
But
feel
and
like
she-
that's a really good price for all the amenities that you have, like with the meeting spaces and being able to host First Friday and stuff. Because that doesn't cost us extra money, right?
No, and but if we
I
did
think
use
that's
it,
good price. And so you guys aren't in a basement with no windows.
Yeah, I've been having to supplement with vitamin D from the time I spend in here. But also, if we were needing to moving just to the next room, like we're not having to sublease or anything. Our lease is being carried over to the new space, just with the additional spending, right, Nate?
yes.
And then I guess the question is like, do we have enough money to pay for it?
I mean, we do. The budget was set for, a roughly $430 monthly payment. So we'd have to take that from somewhere else. Globally, we do have the money to be able to do this.
Having spent some time in that office, I would estimate it's no larger than 300 square feet. And so even if the other room was twice that size, we're getting a better square footage rating with this per square foot amount. I would say that we are about, assuming, I don't know, when would the increased rent start? Like next month? Would this, if everything was okay, even with Mad Jack's, if that tenant
If the tenant would swap out, it would begin in probably May 1st.
that leaves us short of this budget just $2,300. So assuming that not every one of our dream property acquisitions is occurring inside this budget, that's more than likely where the extra money will end up coming from. Is that a good estimate, Nate?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I know that we've already we've made a couple of, go ahead, Zach, go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, I didn't mean to interrupt, but shoot, what was I going to say? Finish your thought and then I'll jump in.
Well, I was going to say we've made a couple of asks in acquisitions already, and I think that our ask was responded to at a lower amount of properties anyway. So just based off where we're at, it doesn't appear we'll probably use our property budget.
I would concur as the treasurer who's trying to get her arms around this. I would agree with that comment.
I mean, I just doing some real quick math. Like if we only achieved 50% of the property budget prediction, we'd still have 28,000. So it'd be more than enough to cover the extra $2,300 that this would cost us this year. Of course, going forward, we just have to budget for the higher rent amount. But again, I think this is a better space rate. And of course, the amenities, like you started piling on amenities, they're just kind of gravy. And Mad Jack's has been really good for us, I think.
Can I make a motion to approve the move from the current space in Mad Jack's to the larger space as soon as possible?
You may. You just did. Does anyone want to second her?
I would second that.
Are there any further comments, questions, or concerns? We have a motion and a second to approve the moving of our office inside of Mad Jack's at this rate under the conditions that we've described. Correct, Heather?
That is correct.
Hearing no other comments, questions, or concerns, roll call. All in favor, signal by saying aye. Rebecca?
Aye.
Annette?
Aye.
Dustin?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Melanie?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
And Jean?
Aye.
All right, it's unanimous. We'll start making the move, assuming that all things line up, it happens next month, but, eventually it happens in November, right?
The
Is that
latest,
fair?
yeah, would be October. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
I think the other thing we should just do is make sure that we make an announcement on our socials about like the move, even though it's still in Mad Jack's, like just saying, hey, we're in a different location.
Yep.
I think that finishes our voting items for the agenda. Yeah, we're going to be on to items of general discussion. Heather, do you want to talk about the strategic plan RFPs?
Sure, I can just give a brief update. The RFP is live. It's out in the world. Those of us on the committee have sent it to multiple firms, individuals, consultants, etc. And the responses are due, I believe, at the end of this month, with the goal of us hiring a consultant in May and beginning the work sometime in June.
Thank you.
Are there any questions for Heather? Or just in general about the RFP of the process? All right, moving right along.
Staff update. Thank you, Heather, for all your work on that. That's been a big lift, and you've made it happen quite smoothly and quickly. As I mentioned, we have a published job listing for a Vista AmeriCorps position. Please promote that if you know anybody that you think that could work. We are asking for someone that has to have a college degree. It's a small stipend. It's basically a glorified volunteer where you get some money and your living expenses are covered, those kinds of things. But it's more about the experience. Somebody wants that grassroots experience. But please promote that with anybody you think that would be interested. We are going to be hiring an architecture intern. I'll be starting mid-May. He's a fourth-year student. This is something that's paid for by an immersive learning grant that Tom Collins, in collaboration with the Land Bank and the Urban Planning Department, was able to get. And we're wanting the architecture intern to help us basically think about phase 2 in the Old West End. The 400 level studio this semester is coming up with some concepts for what we're calling kind of a quality of life corridor between the housing development and then to Liberty along Powers. So roughly Garkey to Liberty along Powers. And we're going to ask this intern to help us kind of ground that into Muncie reality, meet with stakeholders and come up with some new ideas. That'll be helpful for conversations with stakeholders. He's also hopefully going to help us a little bit with work that we're doing at Whiteley. And then there's a new program from the Humanities Department where they have some funding to source interns to different nonprofits around town. They reached out to us, and they'll be getting in touch with us soon if that's a possibility. we have, you know, we talked a lot about all our needs for storytelling and communications, and so we're hoping that that intern could help with that bit if we are resourced with an intern. And then we are going to hire one urban planning intern this summer. We have a couple specific projects that we're going to be asking them to do. So that's great. 3 of the 4 would be paid if they all come through. And I just so thankful to Ball State and all the, you know, the different departments, Office of Community Engagement, obviously a CAP. We've gotten so much support, and we're really appreciative. We've had really great experience with interns thus far. Any questions or comments before we move into acquisition disposition? Take it away, Zach.
Okay. Last week, Nate and I and Rebecca were able to tour 422 West Howard, which is directly across the street from one of the tax certificates we're currently holding, 421 West Howard. The owner's looking to sell this for $22,000. And then the property immediately to the west, 426, 428 West Howard, they're also willing to sell. They've expressed willingness to sell. Both of these properties are on the UBHA right now for their conditions. I think both of the owners have kind of ghosted us right now, but we'll see where that goes. This location holds a lot of strategic potential, being on the Howard Street corridor, which this would be right next to one of the new the rehabs that Passtone's doing on 500 West Howard. And it's a really nice location. And these 2 houses are really the blight on the street, the biggest problem properties. And then, yeah, so we're considering our strategy for how we can get a hold of these. We think 22 is a little too steep.
Real quick, is this the one that Rebecca and Heather and I went into like 5 years ago?
So the 422 is the one where there was the shootings a
Yes.
couple years ago. And then the one next to it is the 426 that we went in. That's like the
That's what I
3-story
thought.
with the dormer.
Yes, that's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
And I completely agree with Zach, and Brad can, I'm assuming, agree that these have been like an insane problem for the neighborhood for years and years.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, Zach. Thank you.
No,
Yeah,
worries, yeah.
just mention that you know, part of this came from, we've been talking with the building commissioner, also with Gretchen from community development. We walked the neighborhood with them, with Rebecca. It was really helpful, you know, just kind of getting their input and just doing some of that collaboration, which we probably should have been doing more for a long time. That, you know, the building commissioner, Courtney, has been really helpful for a long time. You know, people like Gretchen have, you know, lots of knowledge, and she's been really willing to help us. So we did that, and out of that has kind of there's been some new dialogue about how can we collaborate better. And so one of the ways is we walked the neighborhood and talked about what we're doing, what we're hoping to do, and you know, some of the challenges that are in the neighborhood. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah. And then the deed sale took place on Tuesday. We acquired 13 out of the 14 properties we were going for, which I'd call a success. A lot of them were for the minimum bid, mostly in industry and Whiteley. So in Whiteley, it provided us the opportunity to use some of our CenterPoint energy dollars that were specifically allocated for Whiteley acquisition. So with these, our total property inventory is up to 69. And then we have those 7 tax certificates still from last year's tax sale, which includes 2 houses. And then today at 2, Nate's going to close on 916, 916 and a half South Pershing with Habitat, which will bring us down to 68. And then 2 houses that we got from the sheriff sale a couple months ago, 724 West Powers and 2116 North New York. They've been We've done all the title work. We got them cleaned up, boarded, insured, and inspected, and they're going through quiet title action right now. And we've gotten a lot of interest on these properties, which is great. So we expect the bids to start flowing in here really soon. And they've only been listed for a couple days. We've already shown both of them to multiple people, and we have more showings today and tomorrow. Which is it's great to see so much interest on these houses. Any questions? Okay, fundraising. Fundraising and development. Pacers Foundation didn't move forward with our recent proposal, but we're still waiting to hear back from the Cliff Family Foundation and Subaru of Indiana. We submitted Nate $25,000 for general operating support to the Community Foundation. Any elaboration on that?
Nope.
Okay. We transitioned to a nonprofit rate for QuickBooks, which is $80 per year rather than $540. So we're going to be saving $460 a year going forward, which is nice. I think that's a significant chunk of money.
Props to Zach, because he's gone through all of our software and found ways to reduce costs in all kinds of ways. So things that would never have occurred to me, and gone through these administrative processes to figure it out. And so that's just one of many ways that Zach's helped to save us some money.
That's great.
Thanks, boss. Public outreach. I recently revamped our inventory dashboard and educational resources page. Much more interactive now. I'm going to actually just take a second and screen share here. So that anyone watching the live stream can see this. Let's see here. Y'all see this? Can everyone see it? Okay, yeah. So the property inventory page, you visit this page. The numbers automatically populate here. They are fed from the resource. And then we have the dashboard, which we're by statute required to share our inventory publicly. So this is how we do it. It's a map, everything you can click on and see, describing the different types of property that are in there, and a legend. And then you also have a table, which I'm clicked on one, a table so you can see everything in format, and you can also export it to a CSV file. So all of this is publicly available. And then also the educational resources page, which is where you can learn more about the land bank, is here. And just specific resource we've chosen to share about what the land bank does. So hopefully this helps share a little more about our work.
Looks great, Zach. Thanks.
Thanks. Okay.
We presented at the Center Point Scholars Retreat last weekend. That was great space. We're going to be presenting at the Prosperity Indiana Annual Summit on May 7th. All the tax sale work research that we've been doing, start sharing that publicly. There's still a lot of work to be done. And it's be something that we'll continue to work on even after the support from RWJ, Robert Wood Johnson, ends. So that's one space that we get to share some of that. And then invitation, everybody's very welcome to come. April 24th. The Plan 203 students are going to present their findings. So they've been working in both Whiteley and Riverside Normal City, starting with a kind of a parcel survey and condition survey of every single property in both those neighborhoods, and then they've gone two different directions. In Whiteley, it's more about structural integrity of distressed property. In RNC, it's about where might redevelopment with a focus on home ownership be most possible. So anyways, I think both are going to be really great presentations. It's from 1:30 to 3:30. The Whiteley group's going to be presenting for the first half, the RNC the second half. There'll be food. If anybody can come, we'd love to have you. Then I can move right into First Friday. We had Caitlin Hancock from 4GCI come last month, talked about the Lilly monies that they're helping facilitate, proposals coming from East Central Indiana with a focus on strengthening arts. Talked a little bit about general topic of arts and health of cities. And then this May 1st, where Colby Gray, who works at Ball State, he's going to be coming and presenting. Really, he presented at the IDEA conference, and there was kind of like rave reviews about his presentation. So we asked him to come, and we're doing a little bit extra effort on the promotion side. We'd love to get really, people that are in public office to come and listen. In addition to all our, regulars that come from the not-for-profit community, from the developer community. And he's going to be presenting a similar presentation about kind of right-sizing Muncie, and with maybe a focus on what the land bank's role could be in that. So I'm excited because I was not able to hear his presentation. What I've heard from a lot of people was really great.
What was the date on that?
That is May 1st, and it's from 12:30 to 2 p.m. And same thing, food will be, so you can take a little lunch break and come for as long as you can. Update on our partnerships. I won't go through every little bit, but you're welcome to read all those bullet points. If you have any questions, reach out. But in industry, that's working with Habitat for Humanity, working with Urban Light CDC, working with the Neighborhood Association. Of course, every organization kind of has their focus, and those things continue to move forward. Habitat's applying for another federal home loan bank grant to do some additional housing. They would like to use land bank properties. We'd love to support them in that, but we're still trying to land all the work we did, gathering data and listening to residents. Well, how do we move forward in kind of like a focused manner? We're trying to acquire property in a specific area of the neighborhood, but one of the things that really came out is this. There's a young kind of entrepreneurial class in the neighborhood that's doing a lot of great stuff and trying to figure out ways that we can support them. So we connected with the Ted Baker from the Innovations Connector. And we're also talking to Intent Indiana. They have something called the Build Fund where they support small business. And I think we're going to do a little bit of a tour with folk from Intent, hopefully Ted, everybody kind of see the neighborhood, talk to people, and see if anything comes from that. Whiteley, again, Plan 203 students have been out there engaging the neighborhood. We've been building our relationships with folks in the neighborhood. We are going to hopefully continue with Plan 302 in the fall in Whiteley. The saying what is going to come of this is difficult. We're slowly trying to acquire some property just to have something when we get to that place. But I think the general feel is that we're going to be focusing on kind of resident driven development. And when I say that, every partnership resident driven, but actually like trying to remove the barriers and create tools that would help people in the neighborhood actually do the development. That's where we are right now. Old West End partnership mentioned before. We're thinking about phase 2 in this quality of life corridor, what we're doing along Howard, and then what we're doing along Powers, moving east towards downtown. Other initiatives, this tax sale research we've talked about, support from Robert Wood Johnson. And then we've been throwing around the idea of, one of the things that we feel like is maybe a special focus of the land bank is to support, there's a lot of organizations that support, first time homeowners, affordable housing, those kinds of things. But we are thinking, could we support the kind of small mom and pop developers? And could we create some kind of program that pairs our inventory with actually structured support, so that people that are kind of on the fringe, wanting to learn or don't have access to capital, could they take on projects? And so, in addition to redevelopment and hopefully creating, a home for somebody, they themselves would be getting experience in maybe building some equity. So that's just something we're starting to talk about. We'll once we start to hash that out, we'll share a lot more detail. But that's something that Zach and I have been talking a lot about, and going to hopefully spend some energy on creating a little bit of a proposal in the near future. Any questions or comments? Concerns?
Anything else that we should hear that we haven't talked about? As in for the privilege of the order, for the good of the order? Well, hearing not, thanks for the updates. Thank you everyone for your work. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Anyone want to second that?
Second?
Does anyone want to oppose adjournment? Bueller? Okay, we're done. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a good weekend. Be safe.